Shouts out to all the people in the back. Mm. They ain't told everybody I'm live? Okay. I'm live, folks. Mm-hmm. Oh, it's working now? All right. I'll wait till you guys get there. Now, they did a lot of different things about it was a lot of different no, it was there's a complete difference in entire. The reason why there's no money in hip hop is there a change. And when the change is not there, what you're seeing and witnessing are two different things altogether. When they say, well, we didn't have a song of the summer. What? Who says that? We didn't have a song of the summer. Um, and who fault is that again? That's the record company's fault, not. They tried to blame Kendrick Lamar. See, because Kendrick Lamar got rid of Drake. Drake would have gave us a song. Drake could put that out. Go ahead. He put out that. What did I miss? That wasn't gonna be the song of anything. Well, the dynamics never changed. So if the dynamics never change, you have to go back to the very beginning of the problem. And the very beginning of the problem is the problem itself. You see, artists were being, this just didn't start this year. This is a process that's been happening over the last 10 years. Artists have been going, their careers have been winding down less and less. You could blame streaming, but they love to say rap or hip hop more than anything because they're the ones that are seeing the decline more than anybody in this, well, in the industry. And this happened in, I want to say, 2012, 2013 year. A lot of tours were called back. A lot of shows were being canceled. And there were a lot of people who weren't happy with the direction that was going on with the, yeah, with the dynamic of where hip hop was going. So they wanted to better, yeah, get some answers. Well, naturally, you're gonna want to get some answers if things weren't going right. Well, in 2012 and 2013, things were at like an all-time high. The charts were going up. there was tours going on, but then a change started to happen with the change in the sound. People were going with more, it's not just auto tune. It was a style of high pace, high paced sounds and effects, and a thing called drill. And when the drill started to come in the start of like 2012, 2013, it was starting to affect the industry. A lot of shows, there was a lot more violence in the hip hop concerts, and a lot of artists were being signed in 2013, 2014 that weren't rappers. They were gangbangers with microphones. And they start rapping about other people's hoods, what they gonna do to them, and everything became this violent going back and forth, and it started to draw the money out. There was a lot of things transpiring with digital streams where hip hop and R&B was blending in together as one sound. So because it was one sound, there was one voice, one decision, one everything. Now, a lot of people who were there started to hear the decline in the industry. Well, when you got power in industry, I'm sorry. The sound was starting to change, and the artists that you liked were starting to get old, and the newer artists were starting to supposed to take the hams. You had the J. Cole's coming into power. You had the Kendricks coming into power. You had as the new guys that were going to set the stage. They were going to be the ones to carry, all of this out. Right? They were going to be the new face. But now you're having independent artists with smaller record labels doing big numbers and doing shows, doing this drill and weird sound that's coming out of nowhere. And it's more violent, it's more hostile energy rap. No more fun rap anymore. It was drug addict rap, kids with mental problems, people on syrup and lean, and it was everywhere. So the dynamics changed. And once that dynamic changed, so did people's appeal. Then your favorite artists were making too much money to care about doing anything that has something to do with the music or the genre or anything. They didn't care. They were making too much money to care. You had your Nicki Minaj, your Drake, your Lil Waynes. They didn't care. They just making money. So they good. So as they're moving along, the music is all sounding the same. Everybody's doing their factions. They're doing their tours. They're not noticing that no new artists are being developed. Artist development money is gone. Nobody really cares. The problems that don't normally affect most are affecting most. And it's just been a terrible it's been a terrible season, you know. And everybody just wrote it off as that's a fad. Then by 2015, 2016, it was all blown. Everybody was doing drill music. Even the pop top artists were doing drill music. It was the rise of the Chief Keef era. It was the rise of all of these different artists in the game who people with money didn't care to see. They're like, oh, this isn't my hip hop. Where's the Tribe Called Quest? Where's Outkast? And where's my hip hop? Where's my music? Where's my variation? There was no variation in the music, which people who were turned off of stuff like drill just tuned out and just played the old songs. So there was no new money coming in. Record studios started to close because nobody was going to the studio to record music anymore. The way it was done was people was recording digitally, and they was using tools and equipment in their own homes. Nobody was going to studios anymore. So unless you had a record contract, you really wasn't doing anything. True. But unless you had a record contract, you did not care. So there were people putting out quality music that they recorded in their house and just putting it on the line digitally. So now digital sales are the way to go as streaming is coming more into power. So around 2016, the streaming battles are getting ready to start taking over. So as the streaming numbers are starting to implore and go higher and higher, what you start to see is more of a decline in the interest of the general public. The general public is like, we don't care about this. We care about these numbers. We care about that. When we're going to get to talk about those things. See, that's the part that the rest of the world was missing. Yeah, so that was to answer your question. No, because when you talk about the business aspect of it, there was no more artist development money. That means there was no more artists coming out being broke. They was putting money behind in hip hop. Basically, was hot on a mixtape, or they were in a gang and making money in the streets. And they got a lot of street plug, and talking about, I really do it. Yeah, I shot his cousin and that boy Stewart. Yeah, I really do it. Then they got one hit song, I really do it. And next thing you know, everybody's going crazy over the one song. Next thing you know, Stewart and his people come back and blow his brains out. And then they be, oh man, we lost him. He really did it. And next thing you know, he's gone. And he's got 4, 5 gangster albums pre-recorded, and they're making artists money off of his demise. You look at all the artists that lost their lives, they got like 4 or 5 albums coming out, like repetitively. Right behind it, each year it's another Pop Smoke album. Juice World. They just keep putting out more and more from pre-release stuff that nobody knew anything about. So they're going to continuously, use that marketing and use that dynamic to keep promoting, the obvious. Yes, it was hard knock life. You said by then, but no new artist was being broke. And if they did come out, if they weren't doing syrupy stuff, nobody really cared. Everybody had to sound the same. So when the Migos were the top artists, everybody was making songs to sound like Migos. There was no variation of the sound. So there was no rap for the people that loved rap and hip hop back in the days. There was no music for them. So they had to just play the old stuff. So that's why in this year you start to see all the rappers that's 60, 65, 59, here they come with a new album. They were the ones putting out the music really this year. Nas dropped all these albums in the recent years coming up, and everybody's like, wow, Nas never, because the people wanted to hear these guys. They wanted to go to the tours, they wanted to go to the shows. They're the ones with the money. These young dudes don't really go out and kick it like that. With them, they go to certain places, but they can't go to certain hoods or certain areas. The ops are there. Be the ops? You don't even know them. How they the ops? Those are the dynamics that keep them grounded. Meanwhile, the music business isn't growing, and the streaming numbers just took out the record game. So they have to evolve to find a way to screw the artists over to get money. So the artist is not getting paid off streaming because they can't come up with a real money price for all the streams. So now it's like, well, you need 1 billion streams to get this kind of money. And he was like, look, this don't make any sense. I got $1,300 and I got like 1 billion streams. Somebody better explain to me how this streaming works. When Snoop was telling y'all that, because it was the truth. Like, wait a minute, something's wrong here. They don't know how to, make it to where the artist can make a little bit of money off of streaming. Like, it's horrible because you're losing on the mechanical royalty. So now they do these bundles. Get a free t-shirt and a blanket. Put your favorite artist face on it. Come on in and get your merch. So people weren't buying physical copies. Now, when you start to look around and see, okay, we got a lot of different things on the table that could be provided. Yeah, you want to put some things on the table, things that could be provided that could add some type of information for those who are listening. No, how would NWA kill hip hop? I mean, there was gangster rap before them. Ice-T was gangster rap. They were before NWA. Ice-T was doing stuff out there. You had tons of hardcore rap. And NWA, they actually had message in their music. A lot of it was messages. Especially the first album. What about Two Live Crew? They had to fight for the right for, public domain, but there were differences in opinion of what ruined rap, but it wasn't like NWA. They only had 2 albums before they split. No, it's the problem started when you start letting in people who know nothing about music, how to formulate songs. A bunch of gangbangers just grab microphones and start trying to rap and just doing it because it doesn't require them to change anything in their lifestyle. And the record company was doing it on purpose. Yes, the record company decided to make those moves. So to them, it was less costly. It was what they expected. It was the dynamics. They didn't care. You see what I'm saying? The record company just didn't care. They don't care anything about the hip hop artist. They don't care if the little syrupy rapper loses his life. They got the insurance policy money. They'll split that with his mother and she'll get some of the money. Meanwhile, they're going to be making tons of money off this artist that they don't have to pay money for. And people will be streaming the songs. They'll push it, the album on streaming, and they can collect the majority of the money. All right, this whoever's in control of the estate is the one they'll be worried about. Unfortunately, that's been the dynamic, and that's been the going dynamic. Thanks for the super chat. Hit the like button up, good people. A lot of these people don't have major record deals. They have independent labels and they get distributed by a major. Like you look at people like Sukiana, right? Remember Sukiana? Why how come every female rapper is either a lesbian or a stripper? You ever find that as convenient? That's very convenient for the record company. Now, what did I see? I saw I saw a dynamic in which people knew things had to change and they weren't taking the opportunity to change them. So I didn't understand it myself. Like I'm like, what is this? You know, when I see things that doesn't make a lot of sense. And that was when the streaming world came into play. As Rihanna, the people that love Rihanna, she abruptly stopped making music. You know, when her album streaming messed up her record sales, she didn't even need to make music no more. Her cosmetic line is making hundreds of millions of dollars. She's like, why do I need to rap or make music? I'm out. Well, record companies started to fold. Money wasn't coming in. So, yeah, it's okay to sign an artist to a 360 deal, but the artist isn't making any money. They're pushing the money that they put behind some of these artists because they got a 360 deal. It only works if you got an artist that can make money and and be meaningful. Because of streaming, people interest is about this much. So their interest level is like, oh, okay, that's a good song. Whoa, that's hot. All right, that was good. And 2 days later, they don't care. 2 days later, they don't care. How interesting is that? 2 days later, it's all over. Nobody cares. I mean, think of the best album somebody heard. Like they said, man, the greatest album this year was, they said, oh man, the Clips. The Clips album was so great. You didn't hear nothing about the Clips album really after 3 weeks. It just faded away. Nobody was talking about it no more. It had all this buzz, the Drake thing, the Kendrick, you know, Cardi album came out, had Kendrick on it, and people cared about Kendrick that long because Kendrick, he goes away for a while and lets you miss him and you don't know what's going on with him. Then when he comes back around, it's like an explosion. And he knows how to generate public interest. The rest of these artists don't really know how to do that. Now, no, that's because people don't understand what it's like to get to a certain perspective, meaning that you can't have that, it has to be complete functionality. So the record companies are the reason you don't see these artists. You think these artists just went away? There were hip hop artists like Most Def, Black Thought, all these different variations of artists that people listen to. And the public wanted to listen to these people, but they try to make you convinced that you didn't want to hear them anymore. You wanted to only listen to Migos. No, that's not true. Because you don't have that variation anymore. And hip hop just became one sound. It turned people off who loved hip hop and loved the variations. They start saying, all right, I'm out. I'm just listening to the old stuff. I don't need to listen to this. That's the plan. Bad decisions. Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, when you make changes and you try to go in what you feel is the right direction, this is what people look at and they say, okay, I get it now. Eagles just lost my money. No, because the hip hop world is put in, it put everybody on notice. How you gonna have a hip hop award show? People won't even know what in the world that came out. Mm, not really. In hip hop, you know what's real and what's fake. to a to a degree, you know what's real and what's fake. Even to that now, when they blur the lines, so I'm talking about real good music from just imitation music. That's what I mean by real and fake. Not who's really out in the streets putting the work in. I'm talking about music. Uh no, not really. The way I look at it is it's a difference. I think that most artists or entertainers that are in this business, they have to find ways to navigate what it is that they're doing as far as mm-hmm. Yeah, Common, the whole nine. Well, it's not just on them. It's like when they start putting in the perspectives what's actually going on and they start saying, okay, that's sexy red, that's okay. Sukiana, and it's like, wait a minute, is everybody a stripper or a hoe or a lesbian? Like, what's going on here? There's no female rapper in the game that's straight. There's no female rapper that's just that doesn't have there's no moral. You got morals, you got to go. And what are they promoting to the generation of women? How to play men, how to get rid of men. Why they destroy hip hop? Because hip hop is the number one marketing tool in the history of this world. There's never been anything like it. Country music, rock, none of the music could do anything that hip hop could do. Hip hop touched every generation, every nationality, and it got from the kids all the way up. There you can market toys, clothes, every product in the world, jewelry, all of it, everything in one genre, hip hop. And they're like, wow, this thing is so powerful. They don't even know what they got. This thing is worth trillions. But we cannot leave this in the control of these people here because they're so influenced by the artists. So we have to destroy hip hop to tell people who should follow hip hop. And we got to put our people in charge of this. We can't have them in charge. We need puppets. Let's get Drake. Let's make him the face of it. Let's get Eminem. Let's make him the face of it. We have to be the face of everything. They have to destroy it and then put themselves at the top. Now you got white people doing R&B songs. People with no rhythm and blues doing rhythm and blues. It's crazy. They did the same thing to jazz. They did the same thing. They took jazz, same way, took it down. They love jazz. And now they have white jazz musicians playing everywhere. Go to a restaurant, they listen in the old jazz records. So something that can generate trillions, they want to tear it down so that the Joe Blow rapper from the hood is not going to be rich. He's going to be broke. He's going to be famous, but broke. There's a lot of rappers in the game that you know now. Be like, oh, hey, man, that's so-and-so, but he broke. All of these rappers are in debt. Huge debt. You look at Tiger. They go, oh, man, that's Tiger. What's up, Tiger? Oh, Tiger owes millions? Yeah, he broke. Oh, that house was rented? Yeah, tore it up, Airbnb. But they front. and they pretend. Mm-hmm. No. Oh, Detox album? Well, the Detox album actually was made. There's a lot of songs made on it that was leaked. So Dre just didn't finish the rest of them. No. That's because the dynamics didn't get to where it needed to go. When you got people that's not doing their part of the right, they're not doing their part of the job. Like they're dealing in dynamics they don't understand. There's no artist development. All of these managers used to be little slut bags. We used to run behind rappers and sleep with A&Rs back in the day before they started getting those guys out of the business. Most of them are done in music, period. You looked at all the promoters, producers, they're not even in music anymore. They're in like computer, digital programs, and now they make video shorts. I was like, dude, you was in the record company. They got gold plaques on their walls. Like your album sold this much. I produced on this record, but nobody's playing their records on the radio. Their radio don't get any spins. No, Crawford Couch. No, I'm actually up today. No, there's a lot of dynamics that come into play when you're making when you're making it hard for the other person in this industry. The record company now 360 deals are accustomed because there's nothing else that you could really do at that said point, you know? Yeah, when you take a record deal and they're gonna put you in a 360 deal. So if you do a tour or a show, they're getting money back because they're not getting any money at all. So unless you're an artist that's already established, you're not gonna be getting any money. Yeah, well, if you think about it, what is the what you would say is the common goal of the artist, right? Once an artist get that first lump sum check, they don't normally get another big check from the record company again. Everything else from there is debt. When they get that advance, that's like the last check you're gonna get from the record company. I swear that everything else is debt. You owe, you owe, you owe. So all your money got to come from shows and merch and sponsorships, endorsements that most rappers don't get because they can't advertise you to kids. Oh, it's all going down. Um, yes, terrifying is terrifying. And when you find out all of the different aspect of what's happening or the developments or scenes that are going on, you're gonna find a lot of people put in a state where rap is not gonna be where they're gonna make their money. No, no. Because if they did that, they would have to pay out so much in revenue that they don't want to do that. So all the biggest artists in rap history all were having financial trouble at that time. They weren't able to enjoy the fruits of their labor. Tupac, Biggie, they had all of those guys there. The only two that really Nas and Jay Z were able to make money during that time. No, no. I don't feel that way about it. I feel that if we go that route, those dynamics will never change. Nothing for the better. Mm. At that time, no way. No, it's just the way the artistry is. It's just the artistry. So when you look at the dynamics of No. If you love hip hop like everyone else, then you would understand the dynamics of it. When people don't understand the dynamics of hip hop and what all it generates, even now, you look at it. Dude, Black Sheep is still eating off one song. The choice is yours. You could get with this or you could get with that. How many commercials has that been in? That song is about, man, we talking about 30 plus years old. You can get with this or you could get with that. Or you could get with this or you could get with that. I remember when The Choice Is Yours came out and how big it was. And we had the album for a whole year before the song even caught on fire. That was the second single. Yeah, well, most people didn't understand the dynamics of how things move, but I never like no. What okay, tell me this. What rap concert are you happy to see right now? What rap concert that you want to see right now? Mm. No, it's not that complicated, but I guess for some it is. But to me, it's not that complicated. When I watch hip hop artists, right, people rather go see Kenny G. They got people like now Bad Bunny. They got this new generation. The stuff that the kids listen to, they parents would never listen to it. And that was okay, but see, there's no place for it now. Now your favorite artist is too dangerous for him to come to your city. Like, oh, they like NBA YoungBoy. NBA YoungBoy can't do no shows here in Chicago. Are you crazy? When they booked his show, talking about he coming to Chicago, I'm like, are you putting him on a dinner plate for everybody in this city that want to get a piece of him? That's all you doing. One day they'll change the rules. Maybe, maybe not, but that's just I guess that's wishful thinking, but that's just the way I see it. I hope they do at some point. They start making changes to the rules where they start saying, hey, we got to start implementing this or putting this on the table. Uh, who are you saying? They had Sanyo. Oh no, running the record companies? Oh no, dude, they got mostly all homosexual men running record companies or bisexual men, closeted homosexual men. I don't know where they came from, but now they're running all the hip hop club shows, promo shows. They're the new A&Rs. And Rs. It's like, how did this happen? Well, you always want to make sure when you represent yourself, you want to make sure that you're putting your best foot forward. The small hats have always ran the music industry. Now, problems that was made over and over again consistently. When you have people that come in and decided that there are different things that they want to do and how they want to do it, that's on them. Hey, what's up, bro? Hmm. Being canceled is an entirely different world. No, you're never gonna get the truth. See, that's because they were under the false pretense that only black people liked hip hop. So yes, so there are more white hip hop fans than there are black hip hop fans. They love it. So they couldn't keep it out of their households. So they have to destroy it and change the narrative. So now you put in Macklemore, you put in all of these doggone white people. Justin Bieber is the R&B star. Who's the king of R&B? Oh, it's Justin Bieber. And they were like, "What about the R&B stars of the '90s or the 2000s?" They didn't want to hear them anymore. They got rid of them to promote these other guys. No. Jennifer Beals was one of the ones that was into hip hop who was Latino. Um, Demi Moore. Well, Gina Davis used to go to the parties where they used to have the DJs doing all the work, spinning all the records. Gina Davis was the hot star back in the day. Susan Sarandon was just the it girl. She was around everything. Winona Ryder, no. Brooke Shields, who was with Michael Jackson, Run DMC. She was with Curtis Blow. She was around hip hop. So they had the back in the days in the 80s, the white stars who was around. Hip hop was all a different things at the time. Phoebe Cates, no. She wasn't. No, you just had some that were. Women who are in their 80s and pushing 90, that was a different dynamic in time. You look at people like in their 70s, that hip hop wasn't really majority of their thing. So if you're looking at people in their 70s, you're not going to find it. They wanted to be a part of it. If whatever's the it thing or what's happening, people don't want to be alien to it. They want to stay relevant. No. Linda Hamilton was not that girl. She was more of a rock girl. like biker chick type of girl. She was not the woman's like that you thought. She wasn't into hip hop. What could they do to fix it? There pretty much nothing they can do to fix it right now. It's just gonna play on out because now it's like this. Artists realize they don't need. Yeah, artists realize they don't need the record company dictating to them what's what. So everybody should just be independent because the streaming world is and the internet is how you build yourself up. You don't really need a record company except for to distribute. You could pay them a percentage to just distribute it. Like you can produce. I make myself hot on the internet or whatever. I don't really need promotion. I made myself hot with real people, not fake traffic or bots. So let's get it going. There's so many different dynamics that come into play when you start seeing things play out and get into a position where they are today. Every rapper in the world tried to get up with Selma Hayek. I guarantee you, dog. Every athlete, everybody, she was like, but she knew better not to get up with no rapper that would ruin her career. There are so many people who they can't get back what they've lost. And that becomes a terrible dynamic when people can't get back what they lost. Yeah, I hate that too for artists when they lose it to the point where they can't get back the things that they've lost. And people try to shame artists for not remaining 20 years old. Yeah, y'all comments or something else. The Chiefs might be out the playoffs. Might be. Might be. Patrick Mahomes want to pull this performance when I got him in fantasy football and cost me my season? Might be. No, Natalie Portman was a thespian. She listened to rock. Haley Berry, yeah, she was not the one. Jennifer Lopez is the hip hop head. She's from the Bronx. Jenny from the block. Pretty much. But I tell you like this. This has been a stone groove, my man. Oh, Rosie Perez. Oh, of course. Then her and J-Lo almost got in a fight. And that was that. I know, right? Seems almost strategic. But it was never that. It was never meant to be like that, though, for real. For real, for real. So just going into the Patreon. Tune in over there. You'll find out. Shouts out to all my members over here. We got some stuff coming up on the membership for you. The Knicks still suck. And this time, Toronto going to get the job done. Let's go, Raptors. I'm going to bet on you one more time. I'm out. My last time trusting y'all, Raptors. Y'all better get it done.